Good morning, and thank you for attending the Toronto Crime Stoppers Illegal Firearm Awareness Campaign launch. My name is Mark Madrimutu, your host for today's event. I am the detective and coordinator assigned to the Toronto Crime Stoppers program, which is assigned to the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit, led by Acting Staff Superintendent Greg Watts and Inspector Paul Rinkoff. Before we continue, I would like to take a moment of silence to honor the fallen TPS K9, Bingo, who was killed in the line of duty yesterday. Thank you. As well, I would like to read the land acknowledgement for Toronto. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations, Inuit and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I would like to take this time to recognize some of our honored guests who will be sharing a few words with you this morning. Chief of the Toronto Police Service, Myron Demkiw, Inspector Norm Proctor from the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force of the Toronto Police Service, and the Chair of Toronto Crime Stoppers Program, Mr. Sean Sporton. As well, in attendance with us today, we would like to recognize and thank all of you for attending and your continued support. The Toronto Police Service Board, the Toronto Police Service Command and service members, Toronto Police Association, the Toronto Crime Stoppers Board and team, surrounding Crime Stoppers programs, the BOLA program, members of the community and stakeholders, our policing partners, which include Peel, Durham, York, Niagara Police Services, and of course you, the media. Thank you all for your continued support and partnership to the Toronto Crime Stoppers program and your devotion to public safety. At this time, I would like to introduce Toronto's Chief of Police, Myron Demkiw, to share a few remarks.
Thank you, Detective Madrimuto, for respectfully acknowledging the senseless and tragic death of Bingo with a moment of silence. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. It is with profound sadness that I stand here today to talk about the importance of getting illegal firearms off our streets. This is a significant and timely issue because, as you know, last night, one of our brave police dogs, Bingo, was killed by gunfire in the line of duty. Before I begin my remarks, I just want to take this opportunity to express my deepest condolences to all of the dedicated and courageous members of the Toronto Police Service, including Bingo's partner, Sergeant Brandon Smith, all of the members of our police dog services unit, and indeed every first responder involved in the tragic and traumatic incident that occurred last night. I'll now open my remarks in relation to what brings us together here today, the Toronto Crime Stoppers Illegal Firearms Awareness Campaign, by thanking some of our honored guests, including and especially Sean Sporton, Chair of the Toronto Crime Stoppers, and board members present. I'm joined by police leaders, not just from the Toronto Police, but indeed from across the Greater Toronto Area. And of course, Maxine Langlois from the BOLO program is here with us today. I'm pleased to support this important campaign, one that has been designed to not only create awareness about illegal firearms and the impact they have on our communities, but also to help us get these illegal guns off our streets. Gun violence continues to be one of the most significant public safety issues and concerns in every major North American city, including right here in Toronto, where The vast majority of gun violence is perpetrated by people who are unlawfully in possession of illegal firearms. The impacts of gun violence are horrific for victims and traumatizes their respective families and the communities in which they live, often leading to intergenerational trauma, the impacts of which are devastating for years after a shooting event. As we are getting these illegal firearms off our streets, we are also addressing the root causes of gun and gang violence, which we know are very complex and require a thoughtful and a multi-sectoral approach. The Toronto Police Service is pleased to be collaborating on this campaign with the Ontario government, the City of Toronto, Toronto Crime Stoppers, and most importantly, the members of our communities. Today, only hours after our police dog Bingo was shot and killed in the line of duty, I want to appeal to members of our communities who can help us get illegal guns off our streets. And undoubtedly, if they do so, they will save lives. If you are watching this and you have information about illegal firearms, I urge you to contact the police or provide an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers. With the help of our residents, I'm confident this campaign will help us prevent gun violence, reduce victimization, and create safer communities. While we continue to enhance our efforts to prevent gun violence, we will also enhance our efforts to target those who choose to carry and use illegal firearms in our communities. Additionally, we will also continue to advocate through our board for bail reform and other legislative changes that address gun violence in our city and across our country. These include, but are not limited to, 1, ensuring that bail hearings for the most serious firearms offenses be heard by a judge of the Superior Court or at least the judge of the provincial court. 2, amending the criminal code to include an additional route to the charge of first-degree murder by including the death that results from the discharge of a firearm in a congregate setting. And 3, that sentencing judges be given the ability, not mandatory, but discretionary, to increase parole ineligibility to 2/3 of any custodial sentence when the court finds that an offender has discharged a firearm in a congregate setting in committing the offense for which they're incarcerated. Additionally, we will continue to support efforts to keep community members safe from repeat violent offenders. Again, I want to thank all our partners involved in this initiative, including Toronto Crime Stoppers, for their leadership and their support, as well as the dedicated members of the Toronto Police Service, including those assigned to our Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, for all their hard work and commitment to community safety. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to thank the residents of Toronto and our extended policing family across North America for their overwhelming outpouring of support during our difficult time with the passing of our canine partner, Bingo. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your messages and condolences. Our members are devastated that Bingo was killed in the line of duty, and they really appreciate the outpouring of support during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Demkiw, for those words. At this time, I would like to invite Inspector Norm Proctor to share his remarks.
First of all, on behalf of the Gun and Gang Task Force and all of organized crime enforcement, I'd like to express our deepest condolences to Sergeant Brandon Smith and all members of Police Dog Services regarding the death of Bingo last night. Canine officers and their handlers assist our teams on a regular basis, ensuring that active investigations are brought to a safe and successful conclusion. Bingo, you have our everlasting gratitude. Good morning. I'm Inspector Norm Proctor, and I'm the Unit Commander of the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force. Illegal firearms in Toronto and across our country continues to be a great concern to law enforcement agencies and a public safety concern to all, specifically in some of our most vulnerable communities. Trafficking in illegal firearms continues to be a lucrative business for criminal organizations whose members have zero regard for public safety and conduct their activities strictly for financial gain. A firearm purchased in the United States for $500 can easily illegally sell in Canada for up to $5,000. Criminals use illegal firearms to threaten, rob, intimidate, and eliminate their competition. This results in what we call communal victimization. Families can be afraid to go outside. Children can be at risk while simply playing in a park. Innocent people get struck by stray rounds. I can tell you from personal experience that the Crime Stoppers program works, specifically when it comes to the activities surrounding illegal firearms. One small bit of anonymous information is often all that it takes to make an arrest, seize a firearm, and potentially save lives. I'm going to refer to last year's statistics, 2022, to paint a picture of the landscape in Toronto when it comes to illegal firearms. In 2022, a total of 620 crime guns were seized from the streets of the City of Toronto. Of these, 537 were handguns. 421 of these handguns were traced to the United States. 54 remain untraceable at this time. If you break down the numbers, 87% of seized crime-related traced handguns originated in the United States. I can tell you that various models of the Glock pistol remain the firearms of choice for traffickers and purchasers. Speaking with long guns, seized as crime guns, if we break down these traceable firearms, 22.5% were sourced to the United States and 78.5% were sourced to Canada. But what I find most striking, in the province of Ontario, a mere 3% of traced firearms were legally owned in Canada prior to becoming crime guns. 3%. This puts into perspective how serious the illegal firearm trade has become across this city, province, and country. Although it fluctuates, Arizona, Texas, and Florida are currently the top states for sourced firearms from the U.S. With the assistance of agencies such as Crime Stoppers, some great police work is being done, and displayed here is a very small example of the firepower which has been seized and removed from the streets of Toronto. The Firearms Enforcement Unit in Toronto falls under the umbrella of the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force. Firearms enforcement investigators are tasked with directly interrupting criminal organizations' activities surrounding the trafficking in illegal firearms. This past year, Project Moneypenny was concluded after a year-long investigation. Firearms enforcement partnered with outside agencies, which included various police services throughout the GTA, the OPP, Canadian Border Services, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, and other internal TPS support units. As a result of this one project, there were 44 individuals identified and arrested with 483 charges laid. Seizures included large quantities of illegal narcotics, cash, body armor, and 86 firearms, overcapacity magazines, and close to 1,500 rounds of ammunition. This does not include an arrest of a female south of the border who had 87 firearms in her possession. These firearms were destined for Canada, and many, I'm sure, for the streets of Toronto. Work continues in an effort to prevent and interrupt the trafficking of illegal firearms and the carnage in the communities that is caused by it. I can't overstate the importance of the Crime Stoppers program. It's anonymous, it's safe, and it's very effective. Thank you.
Inspector Proctor, thank you for sharing those words. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Sean Sporton to share his remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chief Demkiw. We appreciate your continued support. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending. On behalf of the Toronto Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, I'd like to begin by extending our sincere appreciation to the Toronto Police Service Board, the Toronto Police Service, the Toronto Police Association, the BOLO program, our creative team at the community agency, and community partners who helped make this awareness campaign possible. Since 1984, Toronto Crime Stoppers has been and remains a successful platform for the public to anonymously share information about a crime or suspicious activity. Integral to Toronto Crime Stoppers is its goal of keeping Toronto communities safe and getting illegal firearms off of our streets. In 2022 alone, anonymous tips into our program resulted in the seizure of 89 illegal firearms, a 394% increase from the previous year. So far in 2023, anonymous tips have led to 14 illegal firearms being taken off of our streets. It is clear Crime Stoppers works. To that end, today, Toronto Crime Stoppers is launching this public awareness campaign and our continuing effort to get illegal firearms out of our community. The theme of this campaign is if somebody just spoke up, a relevant question that most of us ask only after an incident occurs. The focus of this initiative is straightforward: create awareness in the community of this issue, and most importantly, remind citizens they have a conduit to relay anonymous information of those who possess an illegal firearm by calling Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or submitting a tip online at 222tips.com. Anonymously saying something to Toronto Crime Stoppers about the location of an illegal firearm not only keeps our community safe, but it may also just save someone's life, the life of a cherished daughter, son, mother, father, friend, or loved one. As Torontonians, we should all feel safe to go out shopping, to meet a friend for lunch, or have our children play in our neighborhood parks and playgrounds. Working on the premise of community safety is a shared responsibility. The solution to reducing firearm-related crimes on our streets does not just lie with the different levels of government, the courts, and law enforcement. As a community, when we remain silent, we are all victims. It is time to break the code of silence and work together to stop gun violence by anonymously reporting those with illegal firearms to Toronto Crime Stoppers. It is our duty as community members to be there for others, to speak up for others when they cannot or will not. Be a critical thinker. Be empowered to stand up for what is right, even if it means going against what everyone else is doing. This is how we will break the code of silence. This awareness campaign will comprise of a selection of out-of-home advertisements that are shown here today, social media ads, and radio public service announcements. Understanding this crime is not isolated to just our city, Toronto Crime Stoppers has designed the campaign in a manner to be used generically by Crime Stopper programs and police services right across Canada. This collaborative approach is aligned with the theme of 2023, Stand Up, Stand Together. By working together with aggressive campaigns like this, Toronto Crime Stoppers will continue to make a difference in the prevention of crime in Toronto. I will conclude by reminding everybody that community safety truly is a shared responsibility. We must all work together with a collaborative goal to make a difference in the prevention of crime while enhancing the overall safety of our communities. Toronto Crime Stoppers is committed in our ongoing efforts to mobilize the community to see it, say it, stop it for a safer Toronto. Please, if you know someone with an illegal firearm, say something before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for those remarks. At this time, I would like to thank Toronto Chief of Police Myron Demkiw, Inspector Proctor, Sean Sporton, for attending today's meeting launch and sharing your remarks. We would like to continue raising the awareness about illegal firearms. We value your time and the time of our honored guests, and we now open the floor to any questions you may have.
Can I ask a question to Chief Demkiw, please? Chief Demkiw, anti-gun violence advocates say one of the main reasons that this violence is ongoing in our city is because agencies are working in silos. How is the Toronto Police Service working with other forces, for example, border security, to try and break those silos and work in unity?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. It's a great question, and incredibly important for people to understand that the Toronto Police does not work in a silo. We work in a coordinated, integrated way with all our partners, both municipal, provincial, as well as federal, and indeed international. You heard from Inspector Proctor, who's the unit commander of a unit called the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force. That unit is comprised of a number of police partners from across Ontario and has national partners there, including CBSA, as well as we work closely with our friends at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So we very much work in an integrated way. I think it's important also to note that we benefit from an amazing relationship with American authorities, both at the state level but also federally with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, who work very closely with us operationally, but also assist us greatly in the tracing of firearms so that we can get in ahead of any sources of firearms and be able to work collaboratively with our partners in the United States to disrupt and dismantle the sources of illegal firearms onto our streets.
I just also want to extend my deepest condolences about the loss of Bingo. Can you talk about the value canines like Bingo hold in the police force, and what is the accountability for someone who kills a police dog?
Well, listen, first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge there's a unique bond between, and I appreciate you highlighting this, there's a unique bond between a police dog handler and their dog. They work together for many, many, many weeks in their training. They are bonded from an early age of that dog. They live with those dogs. They become part of their immediate family. So there's a very unique bond that happens there between handler and police service dog. And in this case, Sergeant Smith and his dog Bingo had been operationally on the road for just over half a year after completing a very extensive training program together. Dogs are incredibly important in our ability to deliver community safety and well-being. And they're important because they provide an additional resource to our members to help keep communities safe, whether it's tracking a suspect, apprehending violent suspects, tracking for evidence, locating evidence. Sometimes that evidence is incredibly dangerous. It needs to be located to not cause further harm in our communities. So there's a multitude of reasons we have police dogs and a multitude of benefits that come from our police dog service unit. And in this case, Bingo was partnered with Sergeant Smith, as I said, for a little over half a year. And if you look back at some of our reporting as it relates to Bingo, Bingo had successfully made a number of significant apprehensions, helping keep our city safe.
Can you talk a little bit, and I'm just asking a series of questions on behalf of my colleagues here, if the suspect that you were searching for is related to the Kipling and Queensway homicide from Monday night?
That's correct. So the suspect is in custody and has been advised of pending charges of second-degree murder.
And did you get a call about a man with a gun last night, or were they tracking him through investigative work?
So the details I won't speak to. This is obviously a special investigations unit investigation, so I won't be speaking to the specifics of events of yesterday evening.
Chief, can you talk about the supports that are now being offered to Sergeant Smith? I mean, he lost his partner last night. I imagine it's an incredibly devastating day for him, and experience for him, and the rest of the K-9 unit.
Yes, so of course, at these difficult moments, we do rally as a police family. The expression of condolences, of course, from the broader community included an incredible outpouring of support from our broader police family to begin with. So our members certainly appreciate and feel supported by the community, not just in Toronto, but indeed across North America, as well as the policing community. Additionally, our members are afforded supports through our wellness unit. We have an extensive amount of supports for our members when they are facing difficult circumstances, particularly as these, as well as the Toronto Police Association is an incredible partner and an incredible support to our members during these difficult times. And all those resources are being brought to bear during this difficult time for Sergeant Smith, as well as Police Dog Service Unit as a whole.
I appreciate this is an SIU investigation now into the interaction. Can you talk about, I guess, the communication with members of the public who live in that area as well? There's an armed suspect who's a murder suspect hiding out in the backyard, and shots are being exchanged between the suspect and officers as well.
Well, listen, this is incredibly distressing for all of us, particularly those who live in those communities who are impacted so closely by these set of events or by gun violence generally. As I said in my remarks, we know the devastation that illegal guns and their use cause in our city. They devastate those who are struck by gunfire, but they also devastate the families, and they devastate those communities, and they devastate them for a protracted period of time, and indeed intergenerationally. So I don't think it can be overstated the impact illegal guns have and the harm that they cause on our streets and the radiating harm they cause over time, impacting our communities.
Talk about bail reform, Chief. Was this suspect, this murder suspect, known to police? Was he out on bail?
Well, the specifics of anything to do with the murder investigation, we do have Inspector Tsinga in the room. He can help answer that. I highlight bail reform not necessarily in the context of events surrounding bingo. I highlight that because we know that we have a history of illegal firearm use by people who are out on bail, and it's very important for us to stay resolute in our commitment to keeping communities safe through relevant and important legislative reform that is necessary and has to happen in a timely way to help keep our communities safe who are impacted by repeat violent offenders, particularly those who are picking up illegal firearms and using them with such callous on the streets of Toronto and indeed communities across Ontario and Canada.
Chief, I understand the balance you have with the SIU and not being able to disclose information, but then there's the other side that we get the demand for information of what happened last night. There were 2 locations, as I understand. Can you help us with that? Is the SIU only involved in the one location in the backyard, or is the apartment building on Dixon also involved? I know it's a fine line for you to skate, but
I appreciate the desire for more information. I really do. But we do live in a legislative framework as it relates to oversight, and I'm really committed to ensuring we support the Special Investigations Unit mandate for an independent investigation of all the circumstances leading up to their mandate being invoked. So I just won't get into the details. I think we know there was a series of events that unfolded, but this is very much something that forms the totality of an investigation the SIU is responsible for.
So Dixon and backyard are...
I'm not going to comment and confirm any of that at this point.
About the loss of bingo, do you have any details about the funeral?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sorry.
Details about the funeral?
Oh, funeral. So, again, I really appreciate that question. We've never planned a funeral like this. We've never lost a dog. So I don't know. I don't know what the details will be. We're in the process of planning, putting together a planning team. As the SAU finishes what they need to do, we will make details available. I do expect there'll be an opportunity for our policing community to grieve and to honor and respect the life given in the service of our communities.
Chief, I'm sorry, can we just ask about the recent spat of violence in the city of Toronto, whether or not Toronto police have enough resources to not only investigate those homicides and instances of violence?
So I think you can ask, and I think that's an important question because we're very aware, of course, of the public concern as it relates to violence in the city. And, I'll say this, that we are working very collaboratively. There was a question earlier about with our partners, but even within the Toronto Police Service itself, we work very strategically to deploy our resources day to day, hour by hour, as needs and service demands require. And we do everything we can to make sure we're most efficient and effective in the use of our resources. And in the last few days, in the last set of events, we have been able to move our resources around across the city. We do have an operations center that is able to redeploy resources as required, and we've been effective in doing that.
Okay, one more question. Chief, I've got a question. I don't know if it's for you or for Inspector Proctor, if it falls under his unit. It's from my colleague over at CTD. It has to do with guns as well. I was at this scene 2 years ago over on Tanbridge, a birthday party shooting. 3 kids were amongst those who were shot. 1 person's already been arrested, but 2 people have not been. What efforts are being made to capture them?
Thanks for the question. I was at that scene that night. I attended and remember it well. I can tell you that the investigation continues. We never close a case. We are always looking at solving the incident, and that continues. So to comment specifically where we are on that, I don't have that information with me right now, but I can assure you teams of investigators continue to work that case.
Inspector, I understand you had a lot of numbers there when you were quoting numbers, and this might have been in there. I hope we can get a copy or any copy of those numbers. But the number of offenses, gun-related offenses that are being, people are being arrested with previous bail conditions. Do you have that number? Like, is that?
I don't have that number with me, but I can tell you it isn't low. Many people arrested for gun and violent offenses are out on bail. That I can tell you. I can't speak to a number, but generally speaking, yes, there's a large number.
Thanks, everyone.